gonna bleed for me.
Happy Thursday evening, everybody. It's another episode of Shoot, another Flyer show coming at you here on Thursday night, right here on YouTube and across plenty of other social media channels with the Facebook and the Twitter and the Blue Sky and all of that good stuff. You can see it down there. Here, there you go, down there on the scrolly little bar there. But you're here with me. I'm Chris Babos with Philly Sports Network, and we're asking the question, can the Philadelphia Flyers unlock the key to a playoff push in 2025? Yes, that's not that far away. Crazy to think. Next week is 2025. Next Wednesday, I believe, is the first. So hop into the chat if you have a New Year's resolution, if there's something you'd like to see the Flyers do or not do in the new year. We can go ahead and cover that for you here on today's episode number 12, which means we've made it 3 full months, which blows my mind. A show I've always wanted to do. So thank you very much for everybody who stuck with us along the way to get it to this point. And then, of course, we've got way more coming your way. So for the Philadelphia Flyers, it's been a Six Flags adventure. Slow October, 4-6-1 to start. Strong November, 8-4-2, and then an incredibly tough December, 3-6-1. And for the Philadelphia Flyers, it's really a question of what is the true makeup of their team? Who are they? Are they the Philadelphia Flyers that we saw through the vast majority of last season and making that playoff push and competing with the best teams in the Metropolitan Division? Or are this team that is just meddling in the middle, wins a couple of games, gets streaky, and then tends to, make defensive mistakes that young teams do tend to make. But unfortunately, those are also going to cost you points in the standings as they have over this last month. So we'll cover that one for the Flyers, the needs, the keys, I guess some would say, and we'll expand on these, of course. But you've got slightly better goaltending from the duo of Ursan and Kolosov. Fedotov relatively out of the picture, according to John Tortorella for the moment. Still with the Flyers, has not been put on waivers or anything like that at this time. You need more consistency from the forwards in Philadelphia. You can't have that third line as good as Bobby Brink and Noah Cates and Tyson Forrester have been. They can't be the guys that you're talking about every single night, because if they are, you're generally speaking are not having enough of a scoring punch to win games in the NHL. And that's one of the things that the Flyers need to figure out, and John Tortorella needs to figure out, is how his lines go together, because still searching for those combinations is a little bit problematic when you're talking 30, 35 games into the NHL season. And then finally, speaking of 30, 35 games into the season, and the Flyers rookie superstar, or at least potential superstar to be anyway, Matvei Michkov, would not be stunned to see him get a little bit of a break on this upcoming West Coast trip. I could see just the fact that it's a long NHL season. Really would not expect the Flyers to bench Michkov at home just from a ticket sales standpoint. Tortorella will do whatever he needs to. I think that's been proven time and again. But I think if they have their druthers, I feel like you definitely would not get the Flyers benching Michkov in a home game on Broad Street. However, as part of a 4-game road trip, I definitely could see that as a possibility to get him some rest, whether it's one of those 3 games and 4 nights that the Flyers have upcoming. For Michkov, he's not used to playing this many games, and by that I mean he's played 50 games once back in 2021. He played 47 games last season in the KHL, and now he's played 33 games in a much tougher NHL, and the level of competition is there. He's played 33 games and he's still got 50 to go. So it's definitely a transition that doesn't get really talked about a lot at the NHL level for these rookies that come in and do well and compete. At this point, Michkov would still be considered one of the top three in the Calder race, along with I would say Lane Hudson from his assists out there in Montreal, and then of course you've got Celebrini out there in San Jose, the number one overall pick for the San Jose Sharks. Those I think would be the three most likely candidates come the end of the year. But like I said, 50 games still to go. A lot can happen in the NHL season. Once again, my name's Christopher Babos. I'm with Philly Sports Network. I also write at the Hockey Writers. Usually have the little thing up there. Looks like I missed it today. That's fine. You can find me on socials at CBabos Writes. That's on Blue Sky as well as Twitter. So Philadelphia last week, a 1-2 week. Once again, you don't want to string too many of them together, but the Flyers do have two of them in back-to-back weeks. At least they did get the points, 2 points out of the six there. 3-7 over the last 10 games dating back to December 5th. I mentioned it at the top. It's been a roller coaster for the Flyers this season. 4-6-1, 8-4-2, 3-6-1. It's really tough to get consistency. Unfortunately, the Flyers are looking at the wrong kind of consistency at the moment. It'll be interesting to see what they end up doing in January. Now, looking at last season as a comparable, the Flyers did kind of have similar runs. We know February was bad, 2-7-1. March and April, not great, 6-4-3. Again, upswing, 2-6-0 to finish the season in April, downswing. To start the season, 4-4-1 in the first month, and then a 7-6-1, so about 500 in November. Then the Flyers hit the gas in December and January with 16 wins, 8 wins in each month. So that's really what the Flyers are going to need to do if they hope to get back into that playoff scene, is hit the gas and pick up probably at least 8 wins out of 15, 16 games over the next couple of months. One of those players that is looking good, Noah Cates. We'll touch on him in a little bit, but he's had 4 goals in 4 games, and that's definitely been noticeable. Once again, when he's your best Flyer, that's might not be the best thing when it comes to wins at the NHL level, and that's no disrespect to Cates. I actually think he's playing very well and coming into his own. He's still a young player at the NHL level, but when you've got players like a Couturier, like a Konechny, like a Tippett, and Tippett's been great, you do need those players to step up with more consistency, and we'll hop into that in just a second. So last week started off with a home game against the Los Angeles Kings, resulted in a 7-3 loss for the Philadelphia Flyers. At a half a point on the prediction. I did say the Flyers were going to lose a 4-3 overtime game. Never really made it that far. I also said Tippett was going to score. That did not happen. Can't really fault me. Tippett, I think, had 4 goals in 4 games heading into the game. So, he's all right if he has a night off here or there. But let's not make a habit of that, right? We need more production from the Konechnys and the Tippets of the world if the Flyers are going to string together the wins that they're going to need to get back into this race in the Metropolitan Division. First period, Kevin Fiala scored, followed up by the Noah Cates, who we just mentioned. Second period was Tanner Jeannot, Forster with back-to-back goals. Anze Kopitar tied it up at 3-3 heading into the second intermission, and then it was 4 goals by the LA Kings to seal that game. Overall, it was a pretty lopsided affair from what I recall seeing in the game between LA and Philadelphia. The Kings are one of the best teams in the NHL out there in the Western Conference in that Pacific Division. So it was always going to be a tough battle for the Flyers. They're not done seeing them. They'll see them on Sunday, right before heading out to San Jose for the pre-New Year's opportunity battle with the Sharks. But it was a tough battle for wins and for points against the LA Kings. Flyers were not able to pick up any points in that game. Getting wins against the teams you need to, and now a team above them in the standings. Surprisingly enough, the Columbus Blue Jackets, a 5-4 overtime win. Columbus started strong, scoring the first two goals of the game. Flyers came roaring back in the third period. Frost and Cates ties it up at 2. Kirill Marchenko takes a lead a minute after the Flyers tied it up at 2-2. Columbus made it 3-2. Morgan Frost about a minute after that, 3-3. Once again, they go back and forth. Columbus goal Forrester ties it up 18-16 with about 90 seconds left in the game, and then Owen Tippett wins it in the overtime session. That game was really a testy battle for the Flyers. They really did have to scrap and battle and work their tails off to come from behind. Once again, you can see the points that have piled up for that line, that Cates and Brink and Forrester line. Forrester and a goal, and Cates had a goal in the game. So those are and Cates assisted on the overtime game winner as well to Owen Tippett. So those are very important things for this Flyers team is to get those contributions. But the noticeable absences of those names, the Couturier, there's no Michkov. Cam York's on there, so I can't really fault the defenseman too much. Sanheim's not on there. So there's some names for the Philadelphia Flyers that you're not seeing on these box scores that you would hope to be seeing a little more. Finally, the Pittsburgh Penguins on the last Thursday, I believe it was. I don't know. Days are running together. I'm tired. It's all good. I'm still here with you. Sidney Crosby in the first period just toyed with the Philadelphia Flyers. I don't want to talk about it too much. Makes me sad. 7-3 was the loss. Crosby had 4, could have been 5 assists in the period. Ties the Pittsburgh Penguins record for assists all time with Mario Lemieux. Thank God he didn't at least break it against the Flyers. He's done enough damage against our ego enough. So, yeah, I had a Malkin overtime goal. That did not happen. Flyers did not get to overtime with a 7-3 final, obviously. It did have the Flyers losing that game 5-4. So, a somber point for that prediction there for that game. I don't think I actually mentioned my prediction against Columbus. I had a Michkov multi-point game. That, again, clearly didn't happen in a 5-2 win. Flyers won 5-4 in overtime against Columbus. So that's a review. Flyers 1-2 last week against some, I don't even want to say tough competition. Yeah, the LA Kings are tough. Pittsburgh, Columbus, that's about what you would expect. It's about where the Flyers are. So I'm not really surprised to see tight battles, overtime battles with those teams. They're all about in that same category of either rebuilding or retooling or whatever you want to call it. So it's one of those things that both of those teams do really, or all well, those 3 teams that I'm talking about specifically, Philly, Pittsburgh, and Columbus, are really going to scrap for those points against each other and against the teams in the bottom parts of the standing, the bottom parts of the Atlantic, which unfortunately is your Buffaloes of the world. Those are the teams that these clubs need to beat because when you go up against Washington, when you go up against Toronto, those are going to be really tough points to get in the Eastern Conference, and that's where you see these big time battles against those scrappy teams. It's a tight situation down there in the Metropolitan Division. I have this on the bottom of my sheet to tell. Wow, I actually grabbed the wrong standings entirely. Would you look at that? All right, let's pull this up real quick here. So Flyers in the Eastern Conference standings. They're sixth. We can just move on from that. The Flyers are sixth in the Eastern Conference standing. Surprisingly, both New York teams are underneath them, and then you've got New Jersey and Washington up near the top. Columbus just jumped Philadelphia. I want to say right before the Christmas break in that Metropolitan Division. So that's going to be spicy. It's going to be a spicy division for the next couple of months. It's going to be interesting. I'm really, really curious to see who's still in the playoff picture and who's in that hunt come that NHL faceoff in March. Teams are going to get 10 days, 14 days off for most guys. It's going to be interesting not only how the rest helps the players, but it's going to be very fascinating to see how teams roll back out of that break. It's a very unique situation in the middle of an NHL season that creatures of habit like NHL players tend to be. It's going to be interesting to see how they deal with that. Some teams are going to deal with it better than others, and that's why getting these points in December and January are going to be critical come those later stages of the year for the Philadelphia Flyers if they do want to make a legitimate playoff push. Do I believe they do? Absolutely. Keith Jones, Danny Briere would love to make the playoffs this year. I think it would be huge for the Flyers. Whether or not the Flyers are going to be able to, I don't know if they have the extended winning streak in them at this point. I haven't seen it yet. I've seen flashes from different players, but the Flyers need to put everything together. They've got to build the entire car. Right now, it feels like a couple of wheels are running, so to speak. You've got Tippett, he's motoring. You got Noah Cates, he's motoring. Cam York, if you listen to John Tortorella talk recently about Cam York, not a whole lot of good things to say. Cam York has it in him. We saw it last year. The Philadelphia Flyers need more out of Cam York, and he knows it. Absolutely, he knows it. We're watching the World Junior Championships. Well, I don't know if you are. I hope you are. It's hockey during the daytime. It's great for me to watch all day. Granted, I get to cover it, but that's besides the point. Having said that, Cam York was a member of the World Juniors that won the gold medal. That's a big experience for a hockey player. Those are things that don't go away. Those are things that prepare him to play in the NHL like he did last year. I don't know what all is going on with his game. I haven't really had a chance to talk to him that frequently. I don't actually know if I've ever had the chance to speak with York. Having said that, it's very, very easy to forget that these NHL athletes are human beings. It's the holiday season for everybody, not just the guy operating a store down the street with a family of 8. It's holidays for everybody. It's difficult in different ways for everybody, and that's easy to forget. So as we sit here and dissect the Philadelphia Flyers and their less than desired record here in December at 3-6-1, it's also easy to forget that these are humans skating on thin razor blades on a sheet of frozen ice. So keep that in mind as we will continue to nitpick the Philadelphia Flyers throughout the rest of the season. Topic number 2 here is going to be Noah Cates. If you saw that awesome background that they put together for me here today, such a sick background. Top right corner. Sorry, top left corner. And on my left and my right. Top left corner, Noah Cates kind of hidden in the background. He has not been hidden on the box score lately in games for Philadelphia. 4 goals in 4 games for Noah Cates. He's helping to power that third line, showcasing a lot of good abilities for John Tortorella, a lot of good work ethic in the offensive zone, fighting, digging, getting puck backs, getting pucks to the defense to make plays. And then in hockey, when you work hard, might not come immediately, but generally speaking, when you work hard, you'll get the breaks that you need to get. And that's what Cates is experiencing right now. Career high last season, played all 82 games, 13 goals, 25 assists, 38 points, 31 games. So a third of the games this year, 6 goals, 6 assists, 12 points, plus 7. Plus 7 on this Flyers team. That's impressive for Noah Cates. He's about halfway or so to his career production. And that's really good to see from a player that, if I remember correctly, is 25 years old. So while I wouldn't expect that Noah Cates is going to be one of those players that revolutionizes the way that he plays at this point at the NHL, he definitely looks like he can be a serviceable top 9. Could sneak into a top 6 role if really needed, if pressed into action. If he plays like the way he's playing recently, absolutely can slide into a top 6 role. I don't think he ultimately settles there. I think that third line role, that fourth line role, works really well for his game. So it'll be interesting to see how he continues and if he can keep the production up, because if he can, John Tortorella will continue to put him out on the ice. 12 did not score on the Saturday game at Minnesota. 12 minutes of ice time. Scored against Detroit. 13 minutes, almost 14. Thursday, LA scored 15 minutes of ice time. Columbus scored 16 minutes of ice time. At Pittsburgh, nobody played well. 14 minutes of ice time with a goal. John Tortorella will stand behind rather, the guys that are playing well and get them more opportunities, more shifts to the ice. And that's what you're seeing with Noah Cates in the extra ice time that he's seeing. But that circles back again to those are not. We shouldn't be talking about Noah Cates as the most impressive winger for the Philadelphia Flyers in December. Again, no disrespect to Noah Cates. I think he's a phenomenal hockey player. I wish I had enough talent in my pinky to play hockey as Noah Cates does. But having said that, Noah Cates, not Travis Konechny, has not shown the skill of a Travis Konechny. Would love Noah Cates to somehow magically get some Christmas sprinkled merry fairy dust and become a Travis Konechny style player, because the Flyers need that goal scoring at the moment. But you need other players to be able to step up and help TK, help Tippett, to Joel Farabee. I'm looking at you, Sean Couturier. Those are, and I'm not. And in all honesty, I think everybody concurrently is playing as well as they can, because it's been tough. Flyers don't have nearly as much room in the neutral zone as they did last year. That's an adjustment by the NHL. I don't know how much the Flyers have adjusted back to the neutral zone adjustments there. But it's a conundrum that John Tortorella needs to figure out. How he's going to roll his lines. Who's going to flow with who? He found one. At least at this point, it seems like probably two. Because in all honesty, I really don't think that top line is really going anywhere. That top line, Tippett, Frost, TK, probably staying together. Joel Farabee playing with Michkov, playing with Sean Couturier, that recently has been your de facto third line. You want some offensive production from there. Couturier, yes, absolutely fantastic defensively, can shut players down. Selke award winner. But in 2024, you also want some offense to go along with those credentials. Scott Lawton, Ryan Poehling, these are guys that you'd like to see some more goals and timely goals. And this is all offense we're talking about. 20 minutes into the show, I haven't yet talked on defense on goaltending. And don't you worry, we'll get there in a second. But the Philadelphia Flyers need to find some more offense. And hopefully need to do it out on this West Coast trip, because they have an opportunity against some teams that will allow them to score goals. Anaheim, 7th in the Pacific. San Jose, 8th in the Pacific. Philadelphia scored against LA. Yeah, they lost the game, but generally speaking, you get 3 goals, 4 goals. Should be in most of those games. So when it comes down to it, the Philadelphia Flyers have an opportunity here to finish 2024 strong. And if you finish 2024 strong, let's say you go 2-1. Say you beat those bottom feeder teams in the Pacific. You beat San Jose. You beat Anaheim. You lose that game to the Los Angeles Kings. And suddenly a 5-7-1 record doesn't feel so bad. The Flyers drop those 3 games, watch out. Because that's where you're going to start to see a lot of issues, probably on social media more than anywhere else. But you're going to see a lot of complaints. At that point, the Flyers 3-9-1 in December. They don't win any games in this West Coast swing through January 1st. I'm not including the Vegas game on the 2nd, and as I should. They also go to Toronto, I believe, right after that to finish the road trip. It's a 5-game road trip for Philadelphia. But long story short, as I ramble here, Anaheim, San Jose, those are the teams that you need to beat. Like I said, Columbus last week. Flyers took care of business in that game. They need to do it again to close out 2024 on a strong note. That's truly what's going to be the difference in how this month is viewed in Philadelphia. How do the Flyers finish these three games? Unfortunately, it's incredibly difficult to win games when you're not getting goaltending. And that's unfortunately what the Flyers are dealing with in December. It's a flip of the coin. October, shaky goaltending. November, incredibly strong goaltending. Fedotov found his game. Kolosov came up from the AHL, played strong. Ursan played a couple of games, got hurt, unfortunately. Ursan's come back in December. 6 starts, and it has not been pretty. It is not in any way a statement on the skills of Sam Ursan. I think Sam Ursan has the skills to be an NHL goaltender. I think we've seen that in Philadelphia if you watched last season and you've watched what he's done this season. I'm not saying he's an all-star NHL goaltender. I'm not saying he's got to finish his career with a winning percentage. But I think he has the skills to stop pucks at the NHL level. I think he's shown that. December has not been it. 2-4-0, 4.28 goals against average, 0.810 goals against. Sorry, 0.810 save percentage. I typed it in wrong. So to me, 81% is the stops that the Flyers are getting out of Sam Ursan. John Tortorella said that, I want to say it was last Monday, I believe. He talked and he said Ursan's fighting it right now. He just needs to make that one more save, one or two more big saves, and they're not wrong. Flyers are in a lot of these games. They're not getting blown out, generally speaking. Even when you see that 7-3 final, it's not, generally speaking, it's not a 6-1 game, and then it's been close. It's been 3-2 heading into the fourth, and then, or the fourth, wow. 3-2 heading into the third period. And then, the trains fall off. But the tracks is sometimes happens with young teams. That comes with the territory of rebuilding. That comes with the territory of learning to win at the NHL level. But I feel like it is a fair question to ask if Sam Ursan is healthy. 7 starts on October, 4-2, 0-1. The 0-1 is the overtime loss. 2.72 goals against, 0.897 save percentage, just 89, rounded up 90% of pucks stopped. November, 3 starts before he got hurt, 1-0-0 and 1. Got pulled out of that third start. 2.62 goals against, 91 save percentage. Again, at that point, that's his baseline for this season. And if you look even deeper than that over the last 2 seasons, that's the baseline for Sam Ursan. Somewhere between a 2.82 goals against and a 3.7 goals against. His career average is 0.88, 88%, 89%, I guess, technically. So he stops puck. He's just not stopping the puck as much here in December. Combination of things, combination of bad defense, combination of absolutely atrocious turnovers by the Philadelphia Flyers in their own end. You're going to give up those kind of goals. But having said that, some of those goals, like the Penguins scoring 2 goals in 90 seconds, it's happened too much to the Philadelphia Flyers this year, regardless of which goaltender's in net. And it's one of those things that you need to clamp down on if you're these goaltenders, and they understand that. I always make the joke the goaltenders are weird, but they're some of the smartest hockey players that you're going to encounter. They see the game in such a different way. My older brother was a goaltender. Is a goaltender, I guess, technically. He's still around. He lives in New Jersey. And hockey conversations with him are just fascinating from the sheer standpoint of hockey is a very math-based game. It's angles. The goalies are very much attuned to angles, whether it's the angles on their post, whether it's the angles on making saves. And that seems to be one of the things that Sam Erson's fighting at the moment. It's one of the things that Ivan Fedotov had to figure out coming over from the KHL, coming over from a different ice surface that was way bigger than what he was used to experiencing. So I feel like it's a fair question after a 2-4 month currently, a couple games left to go for Sam Erson, with numbers that are inflated. And if there's something else going on there, if he also needs a little more rest, like Matt Michko. John Tortorella has come out and said he's not convinced if Ersan can stay healthy. It's a major concern that he has. Definitely something that's on his mind if he's bringing it up in press conferences. So it's one of those situations that the Philadelphia Flyers really need to get the goaltending back to the situation where it was in November, where it wasn't a question mark. And it's really up to the goaltenders themselves to do it. So we'll see at the end of the day if the Flyers can do it. Their first chance is, like I said, they have an opportunity coming up here in the next couple of days on this West Coast road trip to really be able to get some points. I really do have a feeling they can beat Anaheim. I really do feel like they can beat San Jose. They should. Whether or not they will. That's why we watch 82 games a season, right? What it ultimately comes down to. For Philadelphia Flyers prospects are at the World Junior Championships up in Ottawa. It's up in Canada this year. Last year was in Sweden. It was a fantastic tournament. One of the first times I've gotten the chance to watch consistently. Fell in love with the tournament. Super excited this season to watch a lot of players. Tends to feature a lot of first round, second round draft picks, as well as a couple of people that you might see drafted coming up this summer. Flyers have some picks, 6 picks in the top 60 potentially. Whether or not they all convey, we'll see at the end of the year. But they have the options that are there. So I always personally love the opportunity to watch some of these young players. Flyers have not yet had anybody skate in the tournament. That happens in about 25 minutes or so. Canada and Finland play. Canada has 2 representatives skating tonight for Philadelphia. Carson Bjarnason is benched as a third goaltender, and Heikki Rahonen will skate for Finland. I didn't mention Luchenko and Bonk. Sorry about that. Jet Luchenko will skate the forward crew for Canada. Oliver Bonk on the defense. And then, yeah, like I mentioned, Bjarnason will be scratched. And then for Finland, Heikki Rahonen plays in the USHL. Interesting to see how he looks against Canada. It's 19 games this season, 5 goals, 7 assists, 12 points. One of the reasons I love sports media, one of the reasons I love doing this job is some of the things that you get to find out. Looking up Heikki Rahonen, committed to college next season. You're like, all right, cool, that's great. He's committed to Harvard next season. You have to have some smarts, at least as far as I'm aware, to get into Harvard. Maybe not the Harvard Online Business School, but the actual campus up there in the Northeast. That one's still pretty hard to get into. So, pretty awesome for Rahonen to be committed to that Harvard hockey team next season in the Ivy. Interested to see how he does against Canada here tonight. 7:30 will be puck drop up in Ottawa. Game one in the tournament for both Finland and for Canada. That tournament will go on. I think it ends the 5th or 6th of January. So there's four games of hockey per day ish, 3 to 4 games per day for the next weekish or so. So if you have access to the NHL Network, want something on in the background noise while you're cleaning up the holiday decorations, throw on junior hockey. It's been really competitive games today, even if a score did end 10-4 like the USA and the Germany game did. But it's still been really good hockey. A fifth flyer was supposed to be there for Philadelphia, Jack Berglund. He was out. He broke his hand in a pre-tournament game. He should have skated for Sweden. So unfortunately, he's no longer eligible to play in the tournament due to the injury. If you do have one rooting interest and you're here in America like myself, they don't have any Flyers this year. However, there is one guy to keep your eye on, and that's James Higgins. Plays for Boston College. 2 goals and 2 assists today in the USA rout over Germany. Could be the number 1 overall pick at the NHL draft. Unknown if he will be. It's always a question mark. Should fall in that top 5. So a chance to watch him skate for Team USA. And a chance to see if USA can defend that gold medal that they won last year. They've never made the finals in the tournament following winning the gold medal. So these kids definitely do have something to skate for. And it'll be very interesting to see how they perform with not only heavier expectations, but with the target on their back. World champions now, Team USA. Very interesting to see how they go ahead and respond to that added pressure. Canada's going to have a chip on their shoulder, or at least they should. They got knocked out in the quarterfinals by Czechia last year. Absolutely stunning. Didn't even make the finals. So Oliver Bonk was on that team. It's very interesting. I saw an interview with him earlier today talking about, Canada learned real hard. Things aren't going to be handed to you, even if it's a tournament you've been waiting your whole life for. He found out the hard way last season as they didn't even get the opportunity to medal. Taking into some predictions here for you, as we're a little longer than I thought I'd go. So thanks for sticking with me, Danbury Sports Highlights. Thank you very much for checking in as always. Happy Thursday to you. Hope you had an incredible holiday. Hope everybody here watching has an incredible holiday season in general, whether that be Christmas, Hanukkah, upcoming New Year's. We did an awesome article for Philly Sports Network. Shout out to Sean Nestor. The Phillies writing team did the Festivus article. We got to express our grievances. Had an opportunity to light-handedly call out Philadelphia sports. Also, yes, a personal shout. I was pretty happy with an article that I did, which was a Flyers letter to jolly old St. Nick. It was different. It was cute. It was a kid's letter written to Santa Claus about your Philadelphia Flyers. You can find that on PhiladelphiaSportsNetwork.com. MetroPhiladelphia.com as well. They do carry the Philadelphia Sports Network content, so you can also click on there. And if you're ever headed into the Metro Philadelphia area, that sometimes does get printed in the Metro Sports section. Usually have about 4 to 5 pages at the end of that Metro, which is mind-blowing when I think about the fact that I used to read that paper heading into work in the city. And now I have the opportunity to have my words read in that same paper. Small world, man. Small world, and if I would have told myself 5 years ago that I'd have that opportunity, hell, if I would have told myself 5 years ago I had the opportunity to sit here and talk into this camera, this microphone to you about one of my absolute favorite things in the world, hockey. Hopefully soon too, wrestling. We'll get there. Not quite there. Let's get this one handled first. Still got a whole lot of learning to do on the YouTubes, on the promotional aspect of social media. How to bring you a show that you guys want. The 50 of you that have stuck around for most of the show, I appreciate you very, very much. So thanks for hanging in there. Get to some predictions as I ramble here. Saturday against Anaheim, 13-6-4. That is not right in any way. They have a losing record. Saturday against Anaheim, I have a Noah Cates with another goal. I think he's going to get the 5th goal in 5 games, 5-3 win. And I think just to ruffle Flyers Twitter, Cutter Gauthier, a.k.a. Quitter Gauthier, is going to score one of the 3 goals in that game for the Anaheim Ducks. That's right. Cutter Gauthier is going to score in his first game against the Philadelphia Flyers. I don't think he scores when he comes back to Broad Street, but I think there's a chance he does out there in Anaheim. The next night, the Flyers travel to Los Angeles to battle the Kings. Saw last week is going to be a tough matchup. I think the Flyers get this one to overtime. I think Michkov picks up a power play assist. But I think it's going to be a 4-3 loss out there in LA. I think the Kings continue to roll as they do, and they'll add the 2 points the Flyers get in that loser point in the overtime session. And then a third game in 4 nights out in San Jose on Monday. A 4-3 win for the Philadelphia Flyers. Both rookies shine, Michkov with a goal, Celebrini with a goal. And that head-to-head battle between 2 of the most electric NHL rookies that we have this season. And I think that'll pretty much wrap it up for episode number 12 of Shoot Another Flyer Show. So thank you very much for sticking with me. My name's Chris Babos. Reach out to us on our socials, like, subscribe, hit the bell on YouTube. We're going to try to do our best to come to you 6:30 every single Thursday so that you know where to find us online. Philadelphia Flyers make their push towards the NHL playoff. Can they find the keys? And that key really is going to be consistency. Can they find the consistency in the offense? Can they find the consistency in the goaltending? If they can do that, then we'll be having a different conversation in March and April. But as of right now, Flyers will need to string together some wins in order to have a playoff party in Broad. Not down Broad, because, come on, we're a couple of years away from that. But at least have a playoff party on Broad in the springtime. And Flyers are going to need a couple of wins string together. Thanks again. Once again, I'm Christopher Babos with Philly Sports Network, and we'll talk to you soon for Shoot Another Flyer Show. Have a great night.
Want you to